Saturday it is supposed to be a rest day. And unfortunately, this training had, had delayed, and we didn't enjoy the delay because we looked forward to it. I believe that others are looking forward to it. And sorry, we could not get any good day to do this. And we have to do it today, Saturday, even in the evening. So we apologize profusely for this. We're sorry. But uh, because we think that these things must be done, so that is why we are here. And I must express my gratitude to all of you, to Chief Saka or Dr. Saka. Dr. Saka, you are owing us, because now that you're able to come here, people are harassing, abusing, accusing me that I have not done enough to bring you in as our member. So please kindly save me from this problem by accepting to become a member of the association, because what we benefit from your knowledge is more if you do it from inside. So I acknowledge people like Barrister Show Mimo, I saw Williams, I saw Ben Suda from the Gambia. We are happy to welcome everybody from different parts of this continent, and that shows that we're making progress. And organic agriculture is the way to go. And interestingly, organic agriculture is knowledge-based. So that is why we are doing all we can to make sure that we update ourselves. And unfortunately, the knowledge does not normally come from outside. Most of them come from searching for knowledge and from practice. So from time to time, we bring one of us, people amongst us, to come and share the experience and tell us what to do. Interestingly, this knowledge from Dr. Saka is not free, but because of the love he has for us and for organic agriculture and to make it grow, he continues to avail us of this knowledge, and we are grateful, Saka. So I welcome everybody and will listen and take whatever that is available, prepare our questions. We can even continue to put our questions on the chat and they will be attended to. So unfortunately, I wouldn't have mentioned everybody individually, but I acknowledge your presence and we are grateful that you are here. That shows us that we are not just wasting our time, but doing the work that we have chosen to do. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. That's our country coordinator in person of Professor Drew Dobi. So I know I'm always safe when I do that. Okay, so we're going to start right about now. Mr. Saka, are you ready for us, sir? I know you are ready, so I'll be calling you right about now. But in the meantime, we would like to. It's fine. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. It's in the meantime, would like us to put in the chat box where we are coming, where we are joining from, and our agenda. We like to put in the chat box where we are coming from and our agenda. So we'll start that right about now. Mr. Sakasa, let me be sure we still have it because let me see. Mr. Saka, Mr. Saka. Okay. Mr. Saka, are you here, sir? Can you please unmute yourself and talk? Hello, sir. Okay, thank you very much, ma. Please, so would like to have as many of us that we can put in where we are coming from. We would want all of us to engage on this activity, please. Just put it in the chat box and we would harvest that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Sakas, are you here? I'm guessing it's something with the network. but we'll just hold on a bit. So if you were in the last session, can you give us, if you were in the last session we had with him, can you put it in the chat box? If you were in the last session, use an emoji, raise your hand, use any of the emojis to signify if you're in the last session. If you're in the last session, one of the things I picked from the last session is the fact that every single thing you need for organic agriculture is possibly on your farm. You only need to look at it very well. You need to have the knowledge of it. We had the endogenous knowledge sharing. I'm trying to play for time for Mr. Saka to get on the call with us. I know he's on the call, so I'm guessing it's a network problem. So, one of the things we had an endogenous knowledge sharing session rather recently. So, okay, I think there's an issue with the names here. And one of the things for me was the fact that people were sharing so much, and it's regularly almost everyday things that we see that we do not even know that they are important. Regular everyday things that we see that we not even know are important are the things that are on your farm that you can use, things that you pass by. Those are things that you can use. So, but like our country coordinator said, knowledge is very important. Once you have the knowledge, you are better equipped, and you don't just see things in passing and you don't make use of them. So, can we have you, Mr. Saka? If your video is not working, you can please if your video is not working, sir, you can use your audio.
Yes, can you hear me? I'm with you.
Yes, now we can hear you. Thank you so much. We are glad and excited to have you here. For those that do not know, Mr. Saka is I would like to use the word foremost, one of the foremost organic agriculture practitioners, especially with raising organic chickens. And he's doing amazing. He's a trainer and facilitator. And okay, it's a trainer and facilitator, and it's been a huge blessing to the organic movement in Nigeria, and I dare say in Africa as well. If you were not in the session, we will drop the link to the last video, the last session. If you were not there, we'll drop a link, a YouTube link, so you can follow and watch on YouTube. We would also post the replay of this one, the recording of this one in on YouTube, so we can have access to them. Thank you so much. So over to Mr. Saka. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure to be among great people. FCBA, thanks for the introduction, and Dr. Jude, it's great work you're doing there, and I really love to be part of your work. I'm really open to be part of the NOAN, so there's no problem in joining them. It's a great honor to be part of you people, and also helping to advance organic knowledge and farming in Nigeria. Thank you so much for having me on this platform. I really valued it, and I'm really, really happy I'm here with you. So the last time we were on the organic organic training KOC, we were talking about preparation and application of organic input in organic farming system. Inputs are one of the most important ingredients if you are to farm successfully. And in organic farming, producing your own input yourself is the biggest advantage you can ever benefit from. Apart from growing sustainable crops and sustainable practices, it's also help you to reduce cost on the farm. So without wasting much time, because we digressed too much the last time, so we couldn't cover. We did biopesticides. I can just do a quick recap of what we did the last time. How we were able to use neem extract on the farm. It is quite important that most organic farmers should have neem trees on the farm or close by, because that is one of the most important organic inputs that you can ever use to control pests on the farm. And this input is very powerful if you know how to use it and how to deploy it on the farm. So I did mention about how to use it the last time I was on this platform, whereby you soak the neem in water and also add some other ingredients like the neem oil, liquid smoke, liquid sulfur, and all those things to make it even more powerful. And then we talked about the neem cake. The neem cake, which is also very important in reducing pest load on the farm. Most of the pests that visits the farm, some comes because of the smell of their targeted crop. Others are already present on the farm because of they live in the soil. So to also do battle with this, you need to use the neem cake. So the neem cake, when you walk it into the soil, it reduces pest load in the soil, because most of the pest comes from the soil. Actually, if you are very vigilant on the farm and you go there at night, you will see many of the pests coming out from the soil. So when you use neem cake, you walk in neem cake into the soil. Apart from adding more nitrogen content into the soil, it also helps to control pests in the soil, because it also has the active ingredient, the Azadirachta indica, which is antiphedant when consumed by pests. And it also limits nematodes, especially when you grow tomatoes and all those crops that are prone to nematodes. So you walk the neem cake into the soil. So that being said, I did mention about that the last time. So let's go to module 2, because we need to round off everything as soon as possible. So let's go to module. The soil health, I did mention how the soil health is very, very important. And then the biodiversity, growing different crops, not growing monocropping, not doing monocropping as an organic farmer. You have to do mixed cropping. The mixed cropping benefits everybody. The chances of crop failure is significantly reduced. And then you have beneficiary pests coming in to serve as biopesticides for you. Some of the pests feed on the pests of other plants and vice versa. So the pest of, for instance, the pest of marigold will feed on the pest of tomatoes. So also for basil, the pest of basil that attracts basil, that is attracted to basil, becomes a predator to the pest of tomatoes. So they become a companion crops together. So a variety of these things in the farm really gives you an edge and enables you to attain success with ease. So variety, biodiversity, diversifying different plants on the farm gives you a whole lot of chances to excel. So we have climate change and all those that affect plants. So organic farming should be sustainable. What it means by sustainable is you must be able to do it again and again and again and again. And the resources should always be there. Not that after one farming session, the whole processes disappeared. No, that is not organic farming. It should be sustainable in such a way that what you do, for instance, if you need manure, you should be able to have poultry on the farm or rabbits that can produce the manure for you, or even cattle, and those manure you use for your crop. And then the crop, you can also become food. If you have very large livestock like maybe goats and all the rest on the farm, you can start growing napier using the cow dung to grow napier, or the goat dung, excrete to grow the napier form of leaf, and then you can put them in bags and then give to the plants, give to the livestock as it may be, and then the relationship forms and it becomes very sustainable. So the sustainability means that you are not going out of your way to go to long distance or external sources to get majority of what you use on the farm. If that happens, then it's becoming not sustainable, then your cost of production begins to rise, and then at the long run, you may not have value for your efforts. So sustainability is key. So let's quickly, we've not even gotten to there. Let's go to the moment, please. So organic fertilizers. So organic fertilizers are very crucial because the soil needs amendments, needs different kinds of nutrients. In crop farming or in farming generally, there's what we call nutrient exchange. So this nutrient exchange means that it is what you introduce into the soil that you take away from it in form of harvest. So the nutrient exchange should be on a crude form, whereby you are not spending too much, but you are reaping the results from your plant. So this is the scenario. So the plants are screeners of nutrients. So the plants screen nutrients within their immediate environment. If they have the right nutrients, they begin to perform well. But if the nutrient is not enough for them, they don't perform. Plants are so intelligent, yes, unquote, very, very intelligent. They don't overgrow their capacity within the nutrient within their soil. They don't outgrow it. So they will have scanned the nutrients and discover that they have low nitrogen, low calcium, low phosphate, low potassium. Then the plants will start producing smaller leaves based on the nutrient profile in which they are growing. So that's why you see plants not doing well in poor soil where the nutrients are not enough. So they manage the nutrients. So they are very good managers. They manage the nutrients efficiently. So they are not outdoing themselves, unlike humans. They go out of their way, even borrow what their capacity cannot undo. But for plants, what they have on the soil is what they control, and they live with it. So they gauge it, they measure it, and they know that the nutrient is not enough, and then they are not going to produce broad leaves and consume all the nutrients immediately. Plants won't do that. Plants will grow just as much as the nutrients that is available. That is what they give to you. So that's why you are always going to have poor yield in the soil. So if the plants are unable to access the nutrients, or the nutrients are there but they are unable to access it for some certain reasons, and there are two reasons, major two reasons why plants may not, or rather 3 reasons why plants may not be able to access nutrients even if the nutrients are in the soil. One, the pH. If the pH of the soil is not most plants have the pH range in which they perform very well. Some can tend towards being acidic and some can tend towards being alkaline. You have to know the profile of the plants you grow and the kind of soil pH that they love to thrive in. No matter the nutrient you put in the soil, if the pH is not right for the plant, they will not perform, because the nutrient will only just be there and they are unable to access the nutrient because the pH is not the right pH for them to be able to access those nutrients. And the second one is water. So water as universal is universal nutrient exchanger. It contains ions that allows nutrients to flow between the medium in which that they contain. So these ions allows the free flow of nutrients between the plant cells, the root cells, and the environment and the soil. So if water is not there, your plant will die off. So in dry season, you see most plants dying off. Not that there's no nutrient in the soil, but because the water that makes it soluble, that makes the nutrients soluble for the plants to be able to assimilate is no longer there. So water is crucial. Then we have disease condition. Once plants are in disease condition, they cannot, it's just like humans who cannot eat when they have problems with their health. So also for plants, if they have disease, they will have issues with taking nutrient up from the soil. And one of the major disease is that really cuts off nutrient from the plant is nematodes, and also some bacteria with nematodes will cut off, especially the root knot nematodes. If you uproot especially in tomatoes, when you uproot the tomatoes, you will see something like a knot around the root region. What happens is that the nematodes finds itself around the root of the plant. So as the plant's trying to take nutrients from the soil, the nematodes position itself to cut off that nutrient and continues to consume those nutrients, and the nutrient will not go up to the stem and the leaves in the right proportion, and then the plant begin to perform poorly and then eventually die, and then they becomes even more susceptible to pest attack and other, because when you have plants that are deficiency in nutrients, they are highly prone to pest attack, because they sends out hormones. Is a natural way of cleansing itself. Nature has a way of cleansing itself. It sends out those hormones that is not performing as it should, that the pest should come. So the pest will locate it, and then you will notice there are some some plants growing very poorly. You will see loads of pests on them, and the ones that are very healthy, you won't find pests on them. It's because there's issue maybe with nutrient assimilation, and the plants have discovered that it cannot go on, and then it becomes very suicidal, sending hormones out and requesting for pests to come and attack. So producing the right nutrient with the right pH is very crucial, and compost is one of the most important organic fertilizer you can do. So, and this compost comes from different sources. You can have kitchen compost. You can have compost from vermicompost from worms. You can have compost from different animal manures and all the rest. One of the most important animal manure that I've observed over the time that is very important is the chicken manure. The chicken manure produces, because of the poor digestive nature of chicken, that tends to just take not much of the nutrient in the food, and the remaining comes out as excrete. That's why we have quick ammonia buildup and those smells in poultry, because you have a lot of protein from soya beans and carbohydrates and different minerals and vitamins that have been used to compost to compound the food that they consume, and because they do not digest them very well, they release them as excrete, and so those nutrients are there, but they are hot nutrients, in the sense that the ammonia is still very high and can burn plants, so you may not be able to use it immediately. So you allow the chicken poo to age for like at least 3 months, and you can fasten that up by adding lactic acid bacteria and mixing with some other ingredients like blood meal. A kind of you can have a mix of fertilizer that suits the plants of interest or the crop of interest, and using certain proportion of chicken manure, introducing some minerals and vitamins. And most minerals and vitamins are usually obtained from oil seeds like flax seeds, sesame seeds, seeds seeds that you can take oil from them. Those seeds are very rich in minerals. They are rich in vitamins and minerals. So you can have those as part of your mix. You can have flaxseed, introduce some flax seeds. The one that have been the oil, you can remove the oil, the shaft, and mix with your compost, and you have very good, powerful nutrients that you can use to produce. I think I have a mix of this. Then we also have the green manuring crops, like the clover, alfalfa. Even you can actually grow the green manuring itself on the farm. For instance, if you are to grow maize, you can actually plant soya beans. Okay, you can plant soya beans on the soil if you notice the protein level, the nitrogen level of the soil. Anyway, protein is nitrogen, so they are interchangeable. Protein profile contains the nitrogen, is very high in nitrogen. So wherever you have protein, then you tend to have nitrogen. So blood meal and all those things are very high in protein. Then they have high nitrogen content. So the high nitrogen content in the soya beans, when you plant them, because they are nitrogen fixing plants, we have some bacteria actions, the nitrobacter and all the rest, fixing bacteria from the atmosphere and then introducing them back into the soil. So you can actually plant your soya beans not because you want to harvest soya beans, but because you want to use it as a green manuring. So how do you use it as a green manuring? The soil, you notice the soil profile, the nutrient is poor. Possibly you had harvested maize the previous season. So you want to plant maize again, and you know that the pest load is not much on the farm. So what you do is you introduce soya beans the first 2 weeks. You plant soya beans. After 2-3 weeks, and the plants start germinating, then you plow the soya beans back into the soil. So you turn the soil. You can use tractor. You can use your this thing to cover, or you cover with soil back, and then you are doing a form of very powerful green manuring because you're introducing nitrogen and so many things into the soil. We have bacteria that can fix nitrogen. Then you can now plant your maize on top, and there you have a very rich soil profile. The soil profile, actually, you have more of the oxygen that can penetrate because you now have organic matters, because the green manure needs to decompose, and then they create those create good structure for the soil, for the maize to now have their footings. Remember, they also have nitrogen and all that, so you can actually do that. Then bone meal. So most of us have issues with the fruits. So if you're having issues with fruiting and all those things, bone meal is very crucial because it allows mostly the fruiting plants. You grind, it contains calcium and phosphorus, especially the bone meal that has been burnt. Once it is burnt, or eggshell that is roasted, can provide phosphorus for the soil. You mix with the soil, you can grind. You need to grind them so that they can permeate, create great structure for the soil as well, and also provide the right nutrient. Tomatoes needs calcium a lot, so bone meal is one of the major source of calcium for tomatoes. Then blood meal. Also, by nature, blood meal is the most is the richest source of nitrogen in nature, very high in nitrogen. So you can have a mix of it. If you are doing vegetative planting, you have vegetables and material. So you can do a mix of blood meal, Epsom salt. Epsom salt contains magnesium. So magnesium is necessary for the building of chlorophyll and the leaves. So if you're looking for greeny leaves and the rest, then a blend of blood meal and Epsom salt together with bone meal can really help because of the stem. You need the stem to be well structured to have good because you have in the stem, the stem carries nutrients up and down, so you need a very well structured stem. So that the blood meal and the bone meal will provide that for you, and then Epsom salt will provide the necessary balance of nutrients for production of chlorophyll. Then we have the fish emulsion. The fish emulsion is just a fermented fish. You ferment fish, raw fish, you grind. I prefer you grind, and then you add molasses or brown salt to it. Brown sugar rather, not salt. Brown sugar. You add brown sugar to it, and then you ferment. After fermentation, what you have is a fish emulsion. The fish emulsion is very rich in nitrogen as well. When you have a blend of all these and you mix with your manure, then you are providing enough food for your plants. And remember, there are different kinds of demands by plants. Plants need some nutrients to come to be slow releasing, okay? So that when the nutrients releases into the soil, the roots and all those the plant roots can be able to assimilate them as at when they need them. So it becomes very important that we have a blend of both. Fish emulsion can be a very fast acting nutrient for nitrogen. So when you mix with the manure and everything, then you've created a balance. So you just need to add once in a while, especially when you have plants that fruits, and then you harvest. After every harvest, you can now introduce the manure, mix with all these ingredients, and then you have them going again. But if a plant scan the nutrient profile of the soil and discover that there's not enough nutrients for her or for him to perform, because the gender, so plant can be both gender anyway. So we have gender in plants, especially for cucumbers. We have the male and the female gender. So that's why I'm using he or she. So if the plant was able to scan through the soil and discover that there's not enough nutrients to produce, then it start producing the fruit. For instance, cucumber, it will start producing small fruits. So that means the nutrient in the soil is depleting very fast, and the plants will not start producing bigger fruit, and then not everything shuts down. No. So just as it have it, it will be produced. But once you harvest, remember, like I said earlier on, it's a nutrient exchange. Once the nutrient in the soil is gone, then the plant will not be able to produce more. So you need to replenish the nutrient as you harvest. So once you harvest, know that you need to put in more nutrients so that the harvest can continue. If you do not put nutrients in and the plant discover there's not enough nutrient there, then it stops production. If it is a flowering plant, before it produces, the flowerings will not come as much as it should. So, and then there are nutrients that allows flowering to come more, like the phosphate and all the rest. So it builds up the capacity to produce flowers. So introduce more of phosphate, the bone meal and all that. So it allows the flowers to come out vigorously, and then you can still have another flush of harvest from the plant. Then seaweeds and kelp. Seaweeds can be a bit scarce within our immediate community, but we can still have them around. So let's quickly run through this. Then we have feather maize. Feather maize is very rich in also nitrogen, but it's a slow releasing source of nitrogen. So it's often used in organic farming to promote steady long-term growth in plants. So when you have plants that will grow for a very long time, tomatoes, you can use feather maize, and then you can digest these feather maize further for the plant. Now, these are to digest the feather maize. You can get the feathers, because the feathers of birds are very, very rich in nitrogen. In fact, very excellent in nitrogen. We also use it in animal feed for fish. So you can blend it. After blending it, then you ferment. You ferment with molasses. After a period of time, the nutrient will be deposited in that fermentation and becomes even very readily available and can serve a very great purpose. Then there's rock phosphate. Rock phosphate is a natural source of phosphorus, often used in organic farming to boost phosphorus level in the soil. It releases phosphorus slowly over time. So we have rock phosphate, which is all around. I think is in we have them in Agroecology and all the rest. So you can get rock phosphate and also mix with the soil, so you can increase the profile of the soil. So with this fertilizer, you're having a very good source materials, and the benefit of this is that you can create different kinds of fertilizer profile on your own without being tied to a particular range of fertilizer like they do have in the commercial, in the conventional system, like the NPK 1515 and all the rest. Those ones, once you use them, apart from introducing chemicals to the soil because they are sorts of the targeted, the expected nutrient, there are other sorts that will be deposited in the soil. So nitrogen alone will not come in nitrogen form, in pure form. It comes in the form of salts. So also phosphate and so also potassium. So those salts will also be deposited in the soil, even when the plant is able to assimilate the nitrogen, the phosphorus, and all the rest in the NPK. But once this salt is deposited on the soil, remember, they have different pH, they have different reactions. They kick up the soil. Apart from kicking up the soil, they kill off microbiomes. They kill off microorganisms in the soil. These microorganisms are very important for the transportation of nutrient between the roots and the soil of the plant. So if the nutrients, if the microorganisms are not there, no matter the nutrients you put there, the soil will not perform. So the soil will become a very big liability for the farmer. So that's why you see conventional farmers, they keep going from different farm to another, because after 2 or 3 years on the farm, they will have used different chemicals to kill all the soil microorganisms, and then there are no nutrients left in them. So once the nutrients are not there, then you begin to experience low productivity, and then they move to another location, opening up another forest to be sure that they make money from it. So in the long run, you see them moving all over. But for the organic farmer, if you're able to nourish the soil with all the materials I've listed on here, you will be there for years, because you are having plethora of microorganisms that plays their different roles to support the growth of your plant. So let's move on. So, like I said, I did mention about the nitrogen crucial for plant growth. Then phosphorus is important. Potassium is important for overall plant health and disease resistance. And then, so application method. So there are different kinds of application methods. Compost, you can spread the compost evenly over the soil surface, incorporate it into the top, the top few inches above the soil, and you use it as soil conditioner or amendment. You can also use it to improve soil structure, then nutrient holding capacity. So you can use the application method. There are different ways you can, because you have a very potent materials on your hand. When you have the compost, you have the blood meal, you have the neem cake, you have the bone meal, you have blood meal, you have even wood ash. You mix everything together. So you have a very nutritious compost. And with all these, you can use it in different ways. You can use it as a basal nutrient, whereby you dig hole, you put it at the bottom and you plant on top, or you can spread it on your farm, or you can, if you have some soil that are not okay, you can use it to amend the soil. There are some plants that needs well draining soil, a soil that drains very well, but they still want nutrients to be retained in it. So you can use, if you are in a soil that contains more clayish soil that compacts so easily, you can use the fertilizer to readjust the soil texture. Most of us do not pay attention to the soil structure that in which we plant, and knowing what the plant loves, the medium of soil, the soil the plants loves to grow in. In actual sense, let me give you a scenario. The clay soil is quite rich in minerals. In fact, very rich in nutrients and all the rest. But the major problem of the clay soil is that it's too compact. So the clay soil is so compact, oxygen cannot permeate through it. So any plants that tries to grow on it, the roots dies easily. So no plant will even grow on it. Any plants that tries it, the roots will, because the soil is always very compact. But if you take some of the soil and you amend it, the clay soil, and you amend it with maybe river sand, compost, and all the rest, then you have a very rich soil, a mix of it. So you can actually amend clay soil for your plants using different application materials. Then we have the worm cast. You can use worm cast as part of your nitrogen. It's very high in nitrogen. And then, so let's quickly move to. So I did mention about animal manure. Chicken manure is very high in nitrogen. Cow manure contains a balanced mix of nutrients. Horse manure, moderately rich in nutrients. And then the application method, age or compost manure, is typically used in avoiding burning plants. So like I said before, they have high ammonia content in them, especially the chicken manure. And when you use it raw, then you have a big problem because you burn the plant roots. And that is not what you want because of the ammonia content that is very high in it. Then also, if you have if you want to use this manure just the way it is, you need to dilute them, soak in water, dilute, and add some other material. So it could be a bit cumbersome handling and all that. That you can use immediately is a rabbit poo. The rabbit poo does not burn plants as such, so you can use it almost immediately. So that is the benefit of having rabbits on the farm. You can also use the urine. So if urine can serve as pesticides and also as nutrient. So the rabbit urine serves as pesticides, and you can do a combination of your own pesticides at the rabbit urine. Maybe you are using ginger, you are using garlic, you are using neem, you are using hot pepper as pesticide. You can spray that a week and then use rabbit urine the next week. So a mix of this will create a very robust system for you. So we have cover crop, green manure cover crop. I did mention about it. Then I did mention about bone meal as well. Then fish emulsion, we talked about is seaweed, black. Okay, so I think we've done that. Why percentage of NPK in organic material are lower than synthetic chemicals in terms of NPK? So you might have observed the NPK of organic materials in some products is a bit lower, quite lower. So, and this is because we have slow releasing nutrients in them. So those nutrients are not hot nutrients, so they are slow releasing. So organic fertilizer releases nutrients very slowly over time as they break down, because they begins to age, microorganisms begins to work on them, and then they begin to produce those nutrients for the plant. One reason why bush burning is not advised in organic farming is, for instance, in a farm, we have an ecosystem of plants that have grown over the years and provide consistent nutrient for the soil. So some plants, like trees, can go very deep with their roots and get some nutrients, boron, manganese, magnesium, molybdenum, and all those nutrients. The root system of the big trees goes very deep. And then once they're able to assimilate this nutrient, they use it to form their fruits and their leaves. And then when it falls on the soil, then it decays. And then the ecosystem, those shallow rooted plants that cannot access boron and those manganese in the soil, they have them on the topsoil. They're able to access them on the topsoil. Now, this scenario continues to grow, continues to develop over years and even for centuries. And you have a rich ecosystem of nutrients relationship between the shallow rooted plants and the deep rooted plants. And you have the animals within the ecosystem also playing their roles, and the microorganisms. And these things have been there for years and centuries, and they begin to thrive. Everybody thrives on their own because they have a relationships that works for them. Then you now just come into the system and you throw fire into the bush and you burn everything all at once. Now, what burning does is to make those nutrients readily available immediately. Okay, so when you burn the farm because you want to grow, the moment you burn the farm, the nutrient becomes readily available on the soil. But believe me, the plants you are going to plant there will not be ready to use those nutrients until they're about maybe 3 or 2 months or 3 months. So what will happen to the nutrient that have been developed over centuries? What will happen is that the weather and the environmental conditions will set in. Winds will blow some off, and then flooding, water erosion, and all that will set in. The leaching and all those things will come in. So what you have done is that you'll have lost almost all the nutrients that have been recycling itself for centuries on the farm. You'll have lost that permanently. So you may get some good yield the first year, but in little form that they can get, and before you know it, you wasted everything. So bush burning is never encouraged because of the nutrients. So, you are introducing so many things. You have organic content, the organic matters introduce into the soils, and then you have this very robust soil structure when you introduce manure into them. So let's quickly go through this. So I think I've been able to explain the sustainability of the soil. It's in the manual. Okay. So I did mention about compost being something you can get from the kitchen, scraps, and all that you can, but not introducing meat or dairy products is a no-no for compost. You use only your vegetables and all those things that can decompose fast. And I think we've done that. We've done the manuring. So you need to apply manure at the right time in your plant growth cycle. So you must understand the plants you intend to grow. So most people do not understand the life cycle of the plant that they are growing, the growth cycle. Some plants grow vigorously within the first one month. Other plants do not grow vigorously until they start to have flowers. So like the tomatoes do not grow vigorously, but when they start building flowers, you can start seeing them becoming very vigorous with their growth. Because at that stage, they are preparing to begin to grow fruits. So, and they need different kinds of strength to be able to handle. So you see the plants growing vigorously. After you see tomato plants without those vegetative growths, and then they carry fruits. So at that stage, you must be able to time when you introduce manure to your plant, understand the growth patterns of the plant, like tomatoes, maize. Maize will not go vigorously in the first few weeks. They are not going to grow vigorously. They grow very tiny, gradually, and then within the first 3 weeks, then you see the growth blossom, especially when they have those flowers coming in and all the rest, and then you begin to apply manure at that period. So you watch and see what, then the plant communicates a lot. So if there's deficiency in some nutrients, you see them in the leaves. The leaves, if the leaves becomes very dull, they're telling you different things. Maybe watering is an issue. Maybe the nutrients profile, they're having problem with it. Then you need to adjust and then introduce the manures and the compost for them. So then uniform application. So it has to be uniform. You don't need to you need to mix the manure very well and apply uniformly. So then incorporate for solid organic fertilizer like compost, vermicompost, or aged manure mix. Mix them into the soil to a depth of a few inches for liquid fertilizer. Follow the recommended dilution. So you can also make liquid fertilizer from your compost. All you need is to keep on stirring them and use you can start using the tea to water your plant and provide either in form of fertigation, whatever you want. And you remember you must have had blood meal to the compost and everything. Then you just put in water. You can do that. That is a bit fast acting because they get the nutrients almost immediately. Then you have to avoid over fertilization. So some people said, oh, they need to be fertilizing every now and then because they can do it. But that is not how it works. So you need to slow down a bit and then you apply when it is necessary. You don't over-fertilize your plant. You apply when it is necessary. Then watering, applying, after applying organic fertilizer, you have to water well so that the plants, the nutrients makes the whole compost very soluble for the plants to be able to assimilate. Then it's not application for once. So for like tomato, you can do application for every time that you harvest. So let's say you harvest this week, next week, you need to apply. You harvest again another week, so you need to apply so that you can get a continuous flush of harvest from the plant. Then it is important you do maintenance. Like I said, you reapply the fertilizer as needed throughout the growing phase of the plant and the growing season. Then soil test. So most people do not do soil test, and not because they didn't know. They believe it is not important. They believe to listen to neighbors, the farmers who are their neighbors, and then they can use that to form their own opinion on their own soil. But that is not usually the case. The soil profile can change from every 2 meters away. So even on your plant, on your farm, you cannot have the same nutrient content on the soil throughout that is even here, except on some rare cases, especially when the farm is on a flat land. But when you have a slope somewhere here and there, then you are not going to get a uniform profile. So a soil test is very, very advisable, because with the soil test, it gives you different parameters like the NPK in the soil, the nitrogen, potassium, and the phosphates, the level of this in the soil, and then it enables you determine how you can amend the soil. So if there is depletion of nitrogen in the soil, you know that you need to work more on the nitrogen and phosphate, then also the pH. So they tell you different things, and it gives you an informed decision. So before you go planting, you must do the soil test. With the soil test, you cannot miss it, because you have an informed information that can make your decision to be successful easy or easier for you to achieve. So I think we've talked about biopesticides earlier on. We have microbia that kills beneficiary microorganisms. Okay, we've talked about that. Plant incorporated protectant. These are plant varieties genetically modified to produce protein that defend against specific plants. Now, genetically modified in the sense that there are some plants that are being grown for some specific traits. So not GMO per se, but they are being grown for some particular trait, like sweet corn, for instance, was grown because of the sweet trait observed by some of the maize, and those maize were specially grown to produce those sweet corn. So similarly, we have crops that have been grown, like the marigold. So they produce a kind of pesticides for the plant, for the pest, against the pest. Then we have biochemical pesticides. These contain naturally occurring substances, often derived from plants, that disrupt pest behavior or physiology. So like the Azadirachta indica from name, like I said, is an antifeedant. How it works is that, unlike normal pesticides that work by contact, when you spray some certain pesticides in the conventional system, when they spray, it must contact the pest. And it is when it contacts the pest, it works. If the pesticides do not contact the pest, then there's a problem. Like the white flies, which is very difficult to control conventionally, because they are so wise. The moment they start hearing noise, they all depart or leave the plant to perch on neighboring plants off the field. So when a farmer spray the pesticides and then it goes to rest, it will not capture enough of the white flies. After the next day, they return again. So it's just like a walk, like pouring water in a basket. So it doesn't work. But this is how it works for neem and neem cake, neem spray. It's an antifidant. So it doesn't work alone by contact. If it contacts, fine. But if it doesn't contact the pest, so good. But any plant parts that have been treated with neem oil or neem-based solution, any pests that feed on it will no longer be able to feed again. It disorients them, so they find it difficult to feed thereafter. And if they don't feed thereafter, they die off. So you don't see neem oil being sprayed on plant and you see the plants dying immediately. No, it's a systematic thing. It stops them from feeding. So it disrupts the pest behavior. It disrupts their capacity to feed again. And then if they are unable to feed, then they die off. So those are the things with a neem cake. So roles in organic pest control: it must be environmentally friendly, and then the residue level on the plant must be very low, and then it must have low toxicity to humans and animals. So the reduced residue level, like most of pesticides that are being used, are organophosphate based pesticides. So what it does is that it keeps residue on the plant. Remember, these plants are screener for nutrient. So plants will screen the nutrient within their environment, and then they use different parts of their body to screen for nutrients. The leaves also screen for nutrients, though in a reduced form. The root, which is a major source of screening, absorb all nutrients within the environment. So if you spray chemical pesticides, it will also absorb these chemicals into their own system and then into the fruit. So you are going to have residues of these pesticides in the fruit and in the leaves. Then when you consume it systematically, you are dosing yourself with these chemicals. So, and these are countries knows if some foods are treated with chemicals or not, because the residues leaves its trails on this food. So then the low toxicity also, most farmers, you see them in the village, they look haggard, most of the time it's not even the hard work that they do, but usually it has to do with their exposure to chemicals. Most of them do so much with chemicals, okay, and they are not trained. In fact, for me, as a chemist, if I go closer to any chemicals, I find it very disturbing to even touch, because I know the kinds of heavy metals they use in preparing these chemicals. So like the seed treatment. So you have seed treatment that comes with different heavy chemicals in form of fungicides to stop their decaying fungi from decaying and all the rest. So you have these heavy metals on some seeds, hybrid seeds. They taint them with these chemicals. These chemicals are very, very dangerous, especially when they are like in mercury and all those heavy metals, lead and all those things. Sometimes they use some very powerful chemicals like copper and all those things in very high percentage. So you want to avoid toxicity in plants and then to humans. These are the major cause of some of the diseases we see around, especially cancer and all those forms of diseases that we are finding very difficult to control. Africans do not have cancer. So it is from the use of pesticides, herbicides, and all these things that these things comes into the system. For instance, cucumbers is one of the most polluted plants in the world because of the usage of chemicals. The chemicals can be very much on cucumbers because the plants, the pests love it like hell. And what they do is the farmers continue use of these chemicals. For the first time, the farmers who are not well trained, for the first time, if they use chemicals and it doesn't work, they don't even need to read the manual. What they do next is to double the dose, triple the dose, continue to bombard and looking for even a bigger, more potent chemicals that can help them control the pest. And they use herbicides to control weeds. And then the pesticides they use like throughout the growth phase and harvest. So you have more of chemicals in cucumbers around than you can really think of. Then residue management. Biopesticides do not accumulate in the environment or contribute to long-term pesticides residue in the soil and water. So it doesn't pollute the water table because when you use neem, it's a form of oil. After a while, the suns and all the rest, it evaporates and then it's not as poison. It's not even poisonous as such for humans, and the effect wear out easily and is organic in the sense that all the inputs are not synthesized. So it's just by nature, and so it wears out easily. So then I want us to do very fast so we can run everything. Commercial BT products, liquid or powder, sterile containers and spray bottles. Okay, so we have some biopesticide like the Bacillus thuringiensis. I've been trying to lay my hands on produce this bacteria. Actually, they target the specific caterpillar pest by producing toxins harmful to them. So most of the caterpillars or the larvae of pests are the most dangerous, not even the adult pests, the adult male and pests. So both are very dangerous, but the caterpillars, because at the stage that they are going to feed ferociously. So when you have them on the farm, they destroy a lot. So the Bacillus thuringiensis can really destroy the caterpillars, and then it's not toxic to humans. It's just a form of bacteria. So if you want to multiply, okay, I think I did mention about how to multiply the bacteria thuringiensis here. So if you can buy a commercial product of the bacteria thuringiensis, you can get that from Amazon. I've been trying to lay my hands on it, I couldn't. So from commercial products, you can now be a more practical approach for home gardeners and farmers who want to use BT for pest control. So the materials is you get the commercial BT product. It could be in liquid or powder form. You get a sterile container or spray bottle, then a non-chlorinated water. Chlorine do destroy bacteria, so where water will be okay. Then mixing utensil water and the sterile, the protective gear, gloves, and a safety goggles. So what you do is you select a commercial product. So after selecting the commercial product, the BT product you want to multiply, which is suitable for specific pest problems. So there are some that are specific for some pests, so you can read the label to know that you are buying. You can buy for tomatoes. You can buy. There are some that are specific for a particular pest. So BT products are available in various combinations for different pests. So you read the label, carefully read the label, then So this is how you prepare the dilution. For liquid BT, you dilute the liquid BT product according to the label instruction on the manufacturer. Then you mix a specified amount of the BT concentrate with a known volume of water. Use non-chlorinated as stated earlier on. So for powder, you can mix the recommended amount of powder BT with a known volume of water to create a suspension. Then ensure that the powder is thoroughly dissolved in the water. So you shake well, you stir, you transfer to a spray bottle and container, and then you apply to your plant. You repeat as needed. Then the one that you've multiplied, you can have usually for the powder form, after activating with water, you can mix with corn meal, and then you seal. So it activates itself back and then you can reuse. So let's go very fast. We have the Beauveria bassiana is a fungi pesticide that infects and kill wide range of insect pests. Okay. Beauveria bassiana is a natural occurring fungus used as a biological insecticide. So it's in the manual, which I want us to move to the next stage.
Sir, please, I'd have to come in. Can you please check your private message, sir?
Okay.
All right, sir. You can continue for about 5 minutes, sir. Please, if we have questions, we can quickly drop our questions. I know someone has dropped a question as we begin to plan to wrap up. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm trying to check the chat. Okay. 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 So so for mealbug companion plants, we have marigold and basilic and rat ladybugs, which are predictor of mealybug. So spider mites. So you have, I did mention about the companion crops you can use for tribes, for scale insects and all the rest. So then we have the leaf hoppers. We have companion plants like coriander that you can plant along. Mites, companion crop like marigold, calendula, and also anthoxylate farmers. So we have mint. You can plant mint, which is common in our own community. So let me see what else remains so we can round off and take questions. So I think let me see. Okay. There are some valuable topic I can't talk about here, but you have them in damage before they start responding. And these can be really and then the fruit of the plant.
Please, can we still hear him?
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, all right. Yes, now we can.
Okay, sorry, I can't access. Okay, moment, please. So let's take questions.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good evening, sir. And
Good
thank you
evening.
for pictures. I have two questions, but the first one I want to ask you talked about the poultry feather mill. Sorry, the feather
Yes.
mill to ferment it. Do we have to boil or dry or blend it as fresh as it is before we ferment with molasses? That's the first question.
Okay.
Then the second question is the proportion. You were saying a quick kind of fertilizer where we use blood meal, bone meal, Epsom salt, and all that. But I don't know for easier application. Can you tell us the proportion of the bone meal to feather meal and to bone to what again you mentioned? I think a feather meal. That if we can mention the proportions that we can use to formulate the easy manure or fertilizer. Thank you, sir.
Okay, let me answer the last question. Okay, so if you want to produce, let's say, 12 kg of, let me put it a designer compost, So you can get like 5 kg of chicken manure, bone meal 2 kg. I didn't include this formulation in my manual, but let me check if I did. So Epsom salt, you can add 500 grams, wood ash 1 kg, crushed eggshell 1 kg, fish meal or fish emulsion 2 liters. Then there's I didn't mention azomite. You can use azomite if you have, which is about 1 kg, neem cake 1 kg, phosphate rock 1 kg. If you have charcoal dust, you can do 200 grams, blood meal 1 liter, and then you can mix all these together and you have a designer compost. Then the second question has to do with the feather meal. Now, feather meal, before you can really make use of it, you wash and then you boil. After boiling, you leave it to dry, then you can now blend and then add molasses to it and water, and then you cover to ferment. Then you have a powerful fertilizer you can use and deploy.
Thank you, sir.
Wow.
I'm grateful, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. There's a question in the chat box. Can one use black soldier fly waste as fertilizer?
Yes, you can use it as fertilizer. Meanwhile, it depends on the mix that you use as feed for the larva. If you are using a mix of burial waste, a mix of palm kernel, and fruits or vegetables, that is very, very rich in nutrients. After your harvest, you can use that mix. They will have digested everything properly for you, so you can use it as a very good compost. Then you can also add banana peels and all the rest, watermelon peels, and those things can bring in nutrients. So it's excellent for compost.
All right, thank you, sir. Can we take one more question? Do we have one more question? You can please unmute yourself. Whoever has a question can kindly unmute his or herself before we wrap up? Please, in the meantime, can we start to celebrate Mr. Saka in the chat box? Let's use our emojis. Let's tell him how much we appreciate his sharing. You know, it's obvious that this is a passion for him. It's something he just enjoys doing. He's not forced to do it. I mean, all the loads of wisdom and knowledge that he has shared in the last how many minutes? Madam Ugozi, do you want to say something?
Yes, please.
Okay, please go
I
ahead.
wanted to find out, he was talking about using sulfur, to treat like tomatoes and all that. So he's mentioned liquid sulfur. So I was wondering, is liquid sulfur the same sulfur in the market? There's this sulfur we use those days, it comes in a block. And I know we usually crush it and use. So I don't know if it's the same, just crushing it and adding water that makes it liquid sulfur, or is it a different sulfur he's referring to now?
Okay, yeah, there is a product by NOANKCOA Junior in the low-cost farming. That low-cost farming system did mention about how to produce liquid sulfur. So that liquid sulfur there's the one you did mention about, they call it Imiojo in Yoruba. So I did use that with some mix to produce a form of liquid sulfur that is excellent for the control of fungal diseases on tomatoes and most plants. Green pepper, very excellent solution to produce with. So you can use it. You cannot use the powder sulfur actually. The powder sulfur is not soluble. Sulfur is very, very difficult. The solubility of sulfur is very, very difficult in any medium. So the liquid sulfur is a bit soluble, and then it makes it even more powerful. It can actually be used as pesticides on its own. When you use liquid soap, you use soap, especially black soap. When you liquefy black soap by putting in hot water, and then you use to mix with the sulfur. And also sulfur serves as nutrient also for plants. So, but the powdered one, the plants, we find it very difficult to handle. But it can be worked into the soil to reduce fungi in the soil. But fungi will build up when there is a buildup of humidity. If the humidity on the farm is much, especially when you have back-to-back rainfall. You have rainfall today, you have another rainfall. So the humidity will build up, and then fungi begins to quickly form. But you have to be careful because sulfur can increase the acidity of the soil. So we actually use sulfur to increase the acidity of the soil. So if the plant you grow is acid loving, then you can introduce sulfur.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. I would like to hand over to, okay, do we have any other question? The final question for the day. Do we have any other question before we call it an evening? Any other question? Okay, in the absence of that, I would hand over to our country coordinator, Dr. Professor Juta. Hand over to our country coordinator. Mrs. Saka, thank you so much. I also have a question. I saw something yesterday about that plants cry when they are being caught. When you fall, when you cut them. And I was asking, I saw the post, and I remember asking the person, how do you know when the plant is crying? Then when you said there are male and female plants today, in my mind, I'm like, this is like plants are literally, they are living things actually, but it's just how we always assume that because it's only human beings that we know as living things, and then we don't want to focus on the other ones. But quick one, can you please answer that? Is there a way to know when a plant is crying, maybe when it's being caught or something? Are there physical signs?
Yes, you can. When the first time you notice is when they are cutting bush, you can perceive the huge smell of of the bushes being cut. That is a sign. And they are not actually passing that signs out. They are sending signal. Even pests. If you are slashing bushes like this, pests, once they perceive that strong hormones, is to send message to the surrounding environment. The pest begins to run because they know that something terrible is happening because of the smell of the plants being cut. So they send signals, they send information here and there. They pass information, only we are not paying attention. They communicate with themselves. You can see a plant during when the sun is very, very intense in the afternoon. It closes its leaves. It pretends as it shuts down totally. So you see all the leaves, they're all shut down. Then in the evening, when the sun is not much again, then the leaves comes out again, so that the dews in the night, they can receive water and then they can survive. So they are highly intelligent. If you have tomatoes coiling up, tomatoes are not coiling up because they just want to coil up. They are coiling up because there's no water in the soil. So when you see tomato coiling up, it's suffering from water deficiency. So what it's trying to do is to reduce the surface area of the leaves so that perspiration will stop. It will be able to conserve water itself. Do you understand? So that's why you see tomatoes coiling up, just to close up the leaves, the surface area, so that the water will not goes out through perspiration. And so when it cups close up that way, it retains water to itself because there's no water in the soil. So that is the first sign to know that the plant is poorly watered, especially for tomatoes. So they are very sensitive to those things, and then they react very well to the environment. We're not paying attention. So they communicate within themselves.
Wow, that's really, really insightful. So I'll hand over to our country coordinator. So much to learn. In the meantime, can we all just unmute and say thank you, Mr. Saka? Can we just unmute ourselves and just shout thank you, Mr. Saka? Can we do that in count of 2, 1, 2? Can we unmute ourselves and just say thank you, Mr. Saka?
Thank you, Mr. Saka.
Thank you, Mr. Saka.
God bless you.
Amen. Thank you so much,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, it's-
Okay. The communication officer, I want to crave your indulgence,
Thank
and
you,
I
Mr.
request
Doctor.
everybody, for those who network strength permits, you just put off your video for maybe 1 minute, and communication officer, if it is possible, then you capture a picture of everybody that is here. Please let us try and see if it will work. Just 1 minute. Just
All
one
right, so
minute.
I
Put
think
on your
that
picture.
can work from my end. So can we please put on our videos? Let's do a screenshot. Okay, do we all have our videos on? Let's see.
But snap.
All right. I'm kind of holding on for a bit more people. Okay.
Even if I put it on, you won't see me.
Oh, there's no lights. Okay, so let's just
It's
God
fine.
help us in Nigeria. All
Just take
right,
as much as it
as I
has.
can.
Just take it and let's continue.
Okay, one
Okay.
more.
Thank you very much. I noticed William.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you. You can put up your videos now. I've taken screenshots.
I noticed
Thank
that
you.
William.
Please go ahead, sir.
And I noticed that William. William, can you tell us where you are calling from, if you can hear?
Thank you, sir. This is William. I come from Tanzania, West Africa, East
Okay.
Africa.
That is why I want you to talk so that we acknowledge from that you are calling from Tanzania as far as East Africa.
Yes, I've enjoyed
Thank you
this.
very much for participating, and we are grateful that you are here. What?
I enjoyed the session, and I would like to have more of this kind of session.
Hello, I'm sure that
Sir, did you
thank
hear
you very
him?
much. I also
right.
acknowledge the opportunity. Yes, I did. I did. Ifeanyi, can you talk? How did you get opportunity to participate in this call? Because you're not in our social media platform. Can you talk, Professor Ife? Can you talk? Are you here? Okay, the assurance that we want is to enlighten people and create opportunity to grow members of the association. I thank everybody for being here. I thank Amos and the wife, just everybody. I don't want to mention names so that we'll not miss any. William, send our regards to Tanzania people, especially the people of NOAN. All of us were together for 1 week and we have exchanged knowledge and interactions. I believe that we'll do it again. I promise us with the help of the community, with the help and professionalism of our communication officer, who bring someone else from another background to do it again. I don't know, she will tell us, maybe we'll have another one in January, but I want a situation where we'll continue to do this to enlighten ourselves, encouraging ourselves, and more importantly, prepare ourselves. There is something I didn't do. That Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture is transiting. So its name is no longer Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture, but Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture and Agroecology in Africa, simply because the world, through the instrumentality of FAO, is moving towards agroecology. So KCOA decided to bring that into its name, and we are working hard to see if we can bring that into our name too, because no matter what we think, we must go together with the world. In as much as they are moving faster than us, we move at our speed, but we look in their direction and continue to follow until when we can meet up, because sometimes we'll be able to meet up. Thank you very much for coming, and hopefully we will do it again. I forgot to talk about talk again because you are owing me. You are supposed to give me a training on tomato weekends. Good evening. Over to you, the communication officer.
I think you went off for a bit. You forgot to talk about USA.
What? Much for coming. Thank you, Saka. You still train me. Let us do it again, probably by January. Communication officer, please take over. If you don't have
Okay.
project manager take over and
All right, sir. I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
We can hear you.
All right, all right. So we want to say a very big thank you to everyone. We're grateful.
I hear you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for joining us. We will do this again by the special grace of God in January. God will spare all our lives. We will enjoy the holiday in joy. We will experience holiday in joy, in peace and prosperity. And for everyone who is traveling, we also pray for safe journey. We'll meet again in January by God's grace. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Saka. Thank you so much. Please, you can follow Mr. Saka on Instagram and TikTok. His name is Adesoji Saka, but on Instagram is Saka Organic Foods. So you can reach out to him there, get his books, attend his trainings and courses, as well as he makes some organic compost and soil nutrients, so you can also get those from him as well at Saka Organic Foods. I already put that in the chat, and that will be all. Our project manager, sir, would you say a word or two as we wrap up?
Thank you very much, communication officer. Thank you, Mr. Saka, for still coming in the second time to continue to bless us with knowledge and abundance of experience you gathered in organic agriculture. So we appreciate that, and hopefully by January, still have more interactions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.
Bye. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too, ma'am.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you.
ma'am.
Bye, dear.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye, man.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Friends. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
why didn't you talk when I invited you to talk? We are talking now.
There was something my kids were watching, so I reduced the volume of my own. So sorry.
Okay.
Next time I will talk.